Good morning, everyone. This is Mary Ellen coming to you from Moonrise Cottage for a brief, Spirit's calling it an interaction about the full moon eclipse that is upon us. It is the 26th of July, so the day before the eclipse here. And I believe the day on which Mercury goes retrograde, which is an incredible gift for all of us in these moments. If you have not seen the video that I did, Spirit's talking about all the videos, so the water element videos that are posted on my channel, and the video that I did about the full moon, or pardon me, the partial solar eclipse. Spirit's talking about how we have an opportunity in this full moon. Spirit's talking about the carrying forward of sacred male energy into its destiny here in this place, meaning here on the earth. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit, I think, this morning. Went to bed last night, asked Spirit to take me out into the dream time to collect some messages because I suddenly felt inspired to do this. I hadn't intended to do it. Spirit says, so here we are together. It's very early in the morning. I woke up around 4:30 this morning, and the cards have been sitting on my table since last night. I decided to pull the cards and then go into the dream time. And Spirit is talking about those are the things that are at hand in these moments as we travel very deeply, all together, Spirit says, into the dream time. So before I forget, I would like to thank everyone that came along on that beautiful journey with my new friend David and I, as we were blessed with a partnership. The Spirit saying it was to look deeper into the days in which we are standing. Clearly that was true on an interpersonal level, but very much so. Spirit's talking about the family, meaning the family of humanity. And I think I spoke about that a little bit. As we move into the full moon eclipse in the sign of Aquarius, which I believe is in Leo, there is a continuation of the process, a culmination. You know, full moons bring things to completion and bring illumination. And those are the kind of things that Spirit wants to speak about. Those are the kind of things I was dreaming about last night while I was sleeping. I am going to remain a disembodied voice this morning. It's very early. There's not really enough light here to do a proper stream. Spirit says it's as it should be. It's interesting to me, some of the things that have been coming through about the transition that we've all been in since the Lionsgate portal opened last year. And actually was talking with Dave a little bit about this, the completion of a cycle. Spirit saying, very deeply true in these moments, and wants everyone to know that those portals that opened a year ago brought forward the days of change that were meant to come in order to arrive into this moment that we're in now. So the dreams that I had last night had everything to do with the intense shift and change of the sacred male set point, assisted by the feminine, the sacred feminine. Spirit is saying, in the days that we walked through from the portals of last summer through to these moments. There are a couple of things I just want to highlight before I do a brief review of the cards. In the spread that you see in front of you, there are 3 notations of a vessel. And there are um, notations of the shift and change of the sacred male energy, assisted by the sacred feminine in ways that are very deep, mysterious, profound, perhaps unexpected, moments that come when you least expect them. So we see the first card is the elopement of knowledge, and Spirit's talking about the knowledge that is coming in a global way into into the sacred male set point through the shocking things that come that cause it to begin to transform and go on its journey, coming into a very um, evolved, Spirit says, type of knowledge that lies deep within the secret places in the male set point. And I think everybody who's been following along knows the story of that card of the cauldron. When the goddess sets an intention for the male energy set point to come deeply into a form of sacred knowledge in order to walk forward and do its service, whatever that may be. And a young man happened along into her intention, Spirit says. And the destiny that was meant to come forward evolved in a way that was shocking, and then in a way that caused some fear and a lot of shape shifting, a lot of change within the male set point that was not expected. And Spirit says, in fact, it was not truly wanted. The desire was not there, but the events unfolded because it was time. And then the card next to it is another mythical story about the male energy set point falling into a dreamtime adventure, in a sense, and what it is to be, Spirit saying, harangued by the feminine energy set point. It's a story about a man who fell in, without knowing, Spirit says, into another dreamtime type of adventure, and was ensnared by the sacred rope of the feminine energy set point. In order to, actually, what happened in that story is this man fell into the dreamtime, committed some acts, Spirit says, that caused the feminine set point to be very upset with him, and he fell into a dream in which he was literally whipped by the women surrounding him. And Spirit's talking about, what's been happening over time and the things I've been talking about in terms of the rise of the sacred feminine, the effect that has had on the male set point in order to bring it to awakening. And we have seen some examples of that um, across the world, Spirit says, over the last year, when the voice of the sacred feminine has risen up to have an outcry, if you will, about the actions and the behaviors and the intentions and the unknowing actions of the male set point, and what it is to go through that process and finally be released into the light. And when that happens in these days, Spirit says, we see the first card on the human realm, the sacred chalice. Spirit's been talking to me this morning about a book that I read many years ago called The Chalice and the Blade. And it is about the topic in general, Spirit says. So if you haven't seen that book, Spirit says, you might want to go and check it out. Spirit's telling me you can get it online. Maybe it's an ebook now. So in the days of the chalice, when the shift and change comes upon us and the new growth begins, that which no longer serves us begins to flow out. And in this depiction, in the spread, we see it flowing into the place that was meant for its transformation, into the beautiful sacred goddess, the woman of art. And Spirit's talking about the water sign trines and talking about the Earth trine and the combination of those two things. This is a moment of profound transformation when the ways of the old flow into the days of the new and the shift and change and become transformed. And next to the beautiful woman of art, we see the gorgeous dialogue of art. That is Merlin and his sister. They were very devoted to each other throughout their lifetime. Spirit's asking me to read to you from the book about that. So let me flip through the pages a little bit. But basically, the story is that Merlin's sister took him in hand, Spirit says, and assisted him on his journey while he was going forward with his own transformation. Another notion of the transformation of the male set point. And even Merlin, being a magician, walking through his life, came to moments where he had to push forward. He had to take up another moment of shift and change. And we see him dressed in the blue garment of transformation. And he sits hand in hand with his sister, who's dressed in the red garments of passion. It's interesting to me, the intersection of all these things. Under the light of the full moon, when she has an opportunity to stream forward to him this river of knowledge, and again, Spirit's talking about the culmination of the water trine aspects that happened in July with the water trine that is literally happening and with the partial solar eclipse. Now the culmination comes through the light of the full moon. And a little bit, there's a long story about this, but basically, Merlin's sister came to her brother in his moment of madness and causes him to prophesy the course of the kingdom and proclaim its rulers. So, I've been talking a little bit about all the things that are happening here on the earth and all the people who are in leadership positions and what it is to send them an intense amount of love, because they too, even though it looks like chaos, there's a profound transformation taking place. We may not see it on the surface, but Spirit says, rest assured these things are coming forward. After Merlin's restoration, his sister took over the role of the prophet, and she created for him an otherworldly observatory with many doors and windows where he can retire and keep watch upon the land. And the story of profound mutual affection between these two individuals, Spirit says, that abides no matter what the circumstances may be here. So, in essence, it's a message of keep the faith, everyone. Know that these things are going forward and that the joining of these two energies has been activated, and it is the feminine set point into which the sacred male intention is delivered so that it can have its journey as it is. The Spirit's talking again about churning and referencing back to the water sign readings. So if you haven't seen them, please go watch them as we get through the days of the full moon. So in terms of those two aspects, coming into a very deep alignment with each other, the divinatory meaning of the dialogue of art has to do with reciprocity of affection, love, friendship, partnership, sharing, engagement, and a contractual partnership. So I do continue to believe that in these days there is a divine partnership that is happening. I experienced that firsthand in my life, Spirit says, together with my friend Dave. And it's interesting to me, given all the things that are coming out, Dave is, everybody please wish him well. He is out on his own journey as the full moon comes forward, carrying his own life forward, stepping into his own prophecy. It's a beautiful thing for me to see that. So, in these moments, when this alignment happens, we see the bridge card is the beautiful empowerment of the will of the sacred masculine to set the soul on its journey. And it looks directly into the incredible elopement, the entrapment, the battle that the male energy has had with itself. Spirit saying, look across the center row and you will understand the story of all the development, the shift and change, the sudden nature of shift and change of the male pattern of the energy. The decider of will in the traditional tarot is the magician. The ability of the male energy to come into a place of magic and set itself on its new journey in order to be released from that which entraps it. The card above, the magician, is the beautiful king of art who stands in the mystical realm, holding his power, highly activated at the heart chakra, able to see the pathway and to clear away the remaining obstacles in order that his energy, Spirit's talking about the will, the will of the king of art to send the transformative nature of his energy into the world in order that those people, the male energy set point, can go on its own mystical journey. And I've seen the evidence of that here happening over the last year. And you know what? Spirit's wanting me to give a little shout out to all the fabulous men that have come here over the last year to engage with me. So, gosh, I'm going to leave somebody's name out, but you all know who you are. Spirit is talking to Dimitri, who went out on an incredible journey for a whole year, and to Rob, and to Dave, and to Mark, and Jim. Lots of incredible men going through their own transformational process. And I've been watching these individuals with deep dedication, working to transform their lives. So, with the King of Art here, clearing the pathway for these intense journeys, that's the process that's been going forward, Spirit says, since last year. So, we see this young man under the light of the full moon stepping out into a mystical adventure in order to face his fears, to touch death under the light of the full moon, to have a transformational process. And what happened for this man, he stepped into the town square to touch death. And upon so doing, he was immediately transported into the world of the fairies, where he met a banshee who called out to him and gave him a warning. He had a vision about a terrifying moment of destruction. And he joined together with this banshee in order to have his process and his transformation to come back to the, Spirit says, this worldly place, and to cry out a warning. And Spirit's talking about the purpose of the male set point. When it has its transformation, it goes deep into the underworld, having the visions that it has there to return here and sound the warning and prevent the things that perhaps could arise and assist the feminine energy in preventing a tragedy from coming forward. And obviously, if you look at the last card on the spirit realm, we see, in a sense, another completion of the cycle of the male energy set point. What happens when you go on that journey? It is a transformative process. Sorry, I'm still half asleep. So, in this depiction of the initiate, the dedicator of lore, it shows the goddess of sacrifice from the Gundestrup cauldron, which was the first card over the top of the reading. Many stories throughout the world speak about sacrificial cauldrons to restore life to the dead, who return to fight again. The cauldron of initiation utterly changes those who drink from it. The dedicator of lore makes a willing sacrifice to become one with the lore of his tribe. And we're speaking obviously about all beings, all creatures, but Spirit is really talking this morning about the sacred tribe of the male energetic set point and the shift and change that is happening and coming to a place of illumination and culmination at the full moon because of all the astrological aspects that are available to help finish that process so the next step can go forward. So, the principle in this card of the dedicator of lore speaks about many students, spiritual initiates, and heroes as they undergo their shift and change in order to be worthy keepers of the sacred lore. And so, the other thing about this, sort of a soul question, is has to do with being asked in this kind of a moment, what are the duties that arise from your beliefs now that you've been through your shift and change? The outcome card is the beautiful imaginer of harmony. Clearly, the full moon, the culmination, the illumination of that which has come forward because of the journey of the sacred male set point through the days it was meant to experience over the past year and in these moments, of course. The imaginer of harmony is about sacred imagination, is about latent powers, the latent powers of the sacred male, and what it is when those things become activated and step forward in order to imagine harmony and what steps it will need to take as the dedicator of lore to bring harmony upon this place, Spirit is saying. It is about coming into an attunement with the sacred rhythms, the tides and patterns of one's life. It is about the unconscious influences that affect us, having dreams and visions. It is it is a card that is aligned with fertility and creative conception. So, again, we have another notation here in this card spread about someone taking a journey into the other world in order to get into this vessel that has golden oars. It is about having a heroic voyage into the blessed islands of the underworld. And on these voyages, mariners encountered the many islands that speak of the seafarer's life experience until they reach the land of women, a place of great blessing and nurturing. And under the light of the moon, within the rhythm of the tides and the currents, we discover our deep, harmonious self. The imaginer of harmony sees deeply into the rhythms and patterns of the universe. An aperture upon the soul opens and closes as the moon waxes and wanes. Part of the message of Spirit is wanting to deliver, I guess, is to ask us all to ponder very deeply the type of travel that we have together. And Spirit was talking about the travel that we've already done and continuing that, bringing it to its place of illumination and culmination, and the deep love and respect that is coming forward, perhaps in its infancy, Spirit says, but beginning to come forward and be seen. Spirit's talking about the travel indicated in the cards, into the underworld, into the sacred and back, and into the sacred and back, and the transitions that have happened into the cauldron, into the chalice, into the underworld. The male energy has been traveling for an entire year. And in these moments, that journey comes to its culmination. It's a really beautiful, beautiful, Spirit's calling it intention and prophecy, aligned with the sacred feminine, who in its set point just remained a constant, just present, shining onto the world like the light of the moon with all its intuitive power, pulling on the male energy set point to come into its place of awareness and arrive, to sit in that vessel in order to travel wherever they may wish to go in this new place into which they have arrived. So, gosh, I hope those words are adequate. I want to thank everyone who has responded. I've received a lot of really beautiful messages about the travel that is happening in, through Moonrise Cottage, us together as a group, the tapestry, the things that Spirit's been talking about. And so, I think as we go through the full moon, certainly I will be doing this as a person who walks in the feminine set point. Go deeply as you can, to bring as much love and mystery and healing as possible to the male energy set point as it steps into that vessel when the full moon arises. And I think probably everybody knows this. This is the longest full moon eclipse in 120 years. It's going to go on for a long time. Something magical is happening, and Spirit says, put your trust and faith in that notion and focus your love energy on the sacred male so that it can finish its journey and walk forward when the next. Okay, Spirit's talking about the next transition. I think talking about the eclipse that's coming the beginning of August. So Spirit wants us to just stay deep in the mystical. And when we look at the cards, we see all these stories about going in and out of the mystical realm, falling into the dream time, going across unexpectedly. It just, the reading is just chock full of it, Spirit says. Spirit wants me to just, I've been forgetting to do this, but take a look at the cards that are in the bottom corners and see how the energy rises, how the intention rises upward to the corresponding corners, and you will find some more information there about what is happening and what the intention is of the sacred feminine in these moments to welcome the sacred male back to its place. Spirit says its appointed place in order to go forward from there. So I think that's enough words for me, from me this morning. Thank you for tolerating my sleepiness while I'm trying to get the reading out. My channel continues to be open. I will be, Spirit says, I will be the vessel going through the full moon. If you would like to jump in the boat and travel along with me, I welcome you to do that. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thanks, everyone.